Hello? Hello?
Podcast Network Asia.
I'm Sarge Lacuesta, and this is Esquire Philippines Lonely Hearts, where we have long conversations in your behalf with the lonely hearts, minds, and misunderstood geniuses of this world. People who have made sense of themselves and the things around them during these uncertain times, and who appear on this podcast in the interest of helping all of us make sense of our own personal worlds too.
You can just say whatever you want and then tell me.
I overshare.
Shit, pareho tayo oversharing. This show is about you, so you can talk about whatever you want. So I want to thank you, Kate Torralba, for coming over to Lonely Hearts. Kate Torralba, you're many things. No? You're a designer, you're a musician, you're an artist. What else do you do? You're a writer.
I'm a writer, and I'm now an aspiring filmmaker. Well,
I love
actually, it's new. It's like a pandemic-born vocation. I never expected to be a filmmaker. I thought music, and I've been working on a one-woman musical, and I thought, this is as far as I go.
A one-woman musical. No?
Yes.
Like, is it gonna be a full-length musical, like a 3-act musical?
Yes.
Wow, really?
Yes.
And it's just you, and of course everything.
And a piano.
I know your songs, you and a piano, and of course, it takes me back to a musician that I really look up to and I idolize. That I know you also sort of like, Tori Amos. You know?
Are you a Tori fan too?
I am a huge Tori Amos fan. Like,
oh my God!
I am a huge Tori Amos fan. She's like,
that's amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, she's the reason why I started writing my own music. Because I was a classical pianist as a child. Like literally, I was like this kid.
You trained classical piano. Yeah?
Yes, and I was just this freaky little kid. Yeah, so I played my first concert at 9. I was sent to the U.S. and I played at a show for like featuring Filipino prodigies, and that was my first concert in life.
What was your piece?
Oh, I played a whole bunch, but mostly Chopin because I don't know. Even as a kid, I was emo. I mean, it just resonated with me, like how sentimental and romantic, Chopin's music was.
No, Chopin is really like, it's also a classical sort of student
Yes.
piece. You were a prodigy. I mean, and then you turned to pop, or what is your journey?
Well, what happened? Basically, I learned to play the piano at 4 because my whole family was taking piano lessons at home every Saturday. I lived with my grandparents, and
in Cebu City.
In Cebu City, and then I wasn't allowed to study it because I was 4, and then supposedly one day I just went up to the piano and played, and I learned it by ear. Apparently, it was Moon River, and then but I really started piano lessons at 7, and then our headmistress at the school, she's a classical pianist, and she just kind of basically said, "Oh, I'm going to be your piano professor," and then I just learned very, very quickly.
You were offered a music scholarship in the U.S.
Yes, and but yeah, I mean my overprotective grandparents were like, "You're still a baby. You can't be away." And I was my grandfather's favorite, so so I wasn't allowed to go. And then of course I continued my piano training, but I started to discover other kinds of music, like new wave and
Are you
grunge.
like really? Did you like?
Yeah, also because I have a manoy and an older
Nga,
brother.
it's always like
Yeah.
when a young person says, "I like new wave music," or even grunge. I'm always asking, like, Saan ang galing yan? No? 'Cause of,
Yeah,
you know,
Manoy, my Manoy.
okay.
And then but like I had a best friend in grade school.
Mm.
Her name's Kathleen, and she was just so cool. And she collected cassette tapes, and we would, she got me into like pop music
So what is your new wave favorite?
oh,
I'm a new wave guy, of course.
The
I grew
Cure.
up. Yeah. Really?
Yeah, my God, I had. It's hard to pick favorites, but I actually attended the special concert of the Cure in LA, where they played all their songs from the first
God.
5 albums.
Can I just say that a Cure concert is always like a complete experience.
Yeah,
Like they'll play for 4 hours.
yeah, yeah.
And Robert Smith is really a god. He's
It's
a classic.
amazing.
He's a
Amazing.
classically trained guitarist, so you understand why new wave music is like. There's a corner of new wave music that is kind of okay. We've got the basic chords. Diba? We've got the basic.
It's like the
No,
3 chords that keep going back.
the 3 chords that going back. We
Yeah.
have the basic emotions. It's really just the attitude and the nostalgia that keeps us going back to it. I'm speaking very objectively as a lover of music myself.
Lover
right?
of music, lover of music.
Lover of music, right? But grunge, you just spoke about grunge.
But grunge, well, because I had a big crush on Kurt Cobain, and I just thought he was fabulous. I was Kate Cobain in high school, actually.
That's so cool.
And then, but I remember,
So why weren't you Kate Vedder? Because
no, I was
Okay.
more. I mean, of course, I love Pearl Jam too. I have I do a cover of Jeremy that people are they're kind of nuts about it. I don't know.
like a piano cover of it.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, people love it, but then I'm more of a Nirvana fan, and yeah, like in my high school yearbook, Kate Cobain. But what really was like, what really just blew my mind was, back to Miss Tori.
Sure.
Yeah, the Under the Pink album just blew my mind, and I was like, whoa, because I at that time I already kind of quit my piano to my mother's dismay.
Now, what time was it? Wait, Under the Pink came out in the late 90s or the early 2000s. Am I correct? If I'm not.
I remember getting the CD in the States.
Yeah.
Late 90s, diba?
And
Yeah,
it's
late 90s.
beautiful. It's a beautiful
Beautiful
album.
album. Like, it just blew me away. Like, parang from the first track pa lang, yung Pretty Good Year. Ta-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na. I was like, oh,
And then it ends
I can
with
play the piano again.
absolutely. And it
I
ends
can
with
play the piano again. So,
is that what
yeah.
turned you on again? Like switch on.
yeah. Like, I literally, like, after listening to that album, I went back to the piano.
And then it ends with Yes, Anastasia, di ba?
Oh, grabe.
Beautiful.
Grabe that album. For me,
Multi-movement.
Whoa, that album. Like, I'm getting goosebumps. Like,
No, me too.
talking about
And
it.
then
Whoa.
so what's also interesting is that we both share the same entry into Tori Amos's world.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
You
Under
were
the Pink.
Yes, exactly. Under the Pink. That was it for me. And then I just realized that, like, hey, the piano is actually cool. Because of course, my experience with the piano was like, oh, I'm fucking sick of this. Like, oh my god, all the practicing.
Did you really get sick of it? Did you get sick of it?
I mean, if you rehearse like 3-4 hours a day, you
Yeah.
get sick of it. And I didn't have recess. I mean, I didn't have lunch breaks because I had piano lessons. For lunch, and like I remember.
Which
in
means
grade-
that you had achieved a really high level of piano.
I mean, if you practice 3-4 hours a day, then you gotta be.
Yeah, well,
okay,
I've achieved a high level of napping and of Netflix. My Netflix level talagang deep, no?
Oh, you go.
No, but seriously, going back, you encountered Tori Amos Under the Pink.
Under the Pink, and then I just said, okay, I'm gonna write my own stuff.
What
And
were
then
you
I
doing at the time?
Started. I was writing all the stuff for like the high school shows. I studied in St. Teresa's in Cebu,
Okay.
and then
Yeah. Okay.
and then I eventually, well, I had a bunch of bands in high school, but there was a particular band that kind of became popular in our hometown. So I bought. I remember buying No Doubt's Tragic Kingdom and Alanis Morissette's Jagged Little Pill. Like, well, because I would spend every summer in the States to visit my auntie there, and then I just buy these CDs, and then that was like, oh my god, I'm gonna start a band. So I had a band called Hard Candy, which is funny that we like they were talking about this because.
What kind of band was Hard Candy? Kasi parang this is such a Tori Amos journey.
Funny.
I don't know if you remember that Tori Amos had a previous band called Why Can't Tori Read?
Can't Tori Read?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, of course.
So what was Hard Candy about? No,
but Hard Candy because
I love the name, by the way. I love the name.
I chose that name before Madonna released her Hard Candy album. But like there were guys in the band, so of course you gotta compromise, right? It wasn't all the stuff that I wanted to play, but the boys were into like Tears for Fears and Sting, and I was kind of into. Well, we didn't really play Tori Amos because we were a crowd pleaser band. We would play at high school parties and local bars, and so we played kind of like pop alternative stuff, and then we joined a bunch of like music competitions. So there was a band competition, Channel V band competition, which we won.
God. Really?
We won, and that's where I met Joey Mead. I mean, I was a college student, and then there was this big band competition in the region, San Miguel Music Awards. And that was such a great time because I think we were 14 bands, like 14 finalists, and then everybody made a single. It was like first time to record my music in a studio, and it was very, very competitive. And like, can you imagine? My competitors were Franco Reyes. There's a rock band. He's a rock star now. And then there's this girl who's very popular in Cebu. Well, no, the wrong pronoun. She's a he now. Katsuki, and then and it was just a big deal. And then we won that competition.
And did you get an album deal out of that?
We got an album deal and a recording contract, but we were about to record just the second track for the album, and then I got a job offer from Senator Lauren Legarda. So random.
Wow, this is like the first.
So fucking random. So random.
This is like the first quarter of your life.
I met her at a youth forum in Cebu, and I just really wanted her to sign my copy of Mega Magazine with her on the cover and her pashmina, and she's beautiful, like. And then she's just like, oh, what do you do? I'm like, oh, I just graduated from UP. Oh, UP, I went to UP too. And then next thing I know, I get a job offer to be a research assistant in her office in the Senate, and I was just like, I was engaged then. And I wasn't really sure how to get out of it.
We're gonna get back to that.
so many stories. Like I have so many stories. But yeah, I was engaged then.
You were engaged at 25 years old.
21. I was 21.
You were engaged at 21 years old.
Yeah, and then I was like, oh my gosh. Well, yay! Because I started fantasizing about having a life that was bigger than being barefoot and pregnant in Cebu, so
I understand.
I knew nothing about politics, right? I'm just like, fuck yeah, I'm gonna all right, I'm gonna go to the big city, and so that was my ticket.
And you cut the engagement. You cut the engagement.
Not right away because he was such a sweet guy. I had a hard time.
I know. You know what? Whenever somebody tells me he was such a sweet guy, like I know. Like I know, but like the unspoken part of that is, but he wasn't enough.
If I had met him like in my 30s,
and there's absolutely no need to explain.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just say he was a sweit guy. This is why I never want to be called a sweet guy.
Okay. But yeah, and for some reason, all my exes kind of found their partners after me. It's like I'm like the good luck Chuck of the Philippines. That's like
Uh,
so.
are you? Are you a high
Yeah.
maintenance? Are you a high maintenance woman?
I used to be embarrassed to even claim that, but you know what? Yeah, I am. Because maybe emotionally high maintenance. I mean, I mean, because
I'm high maintenance. But I
I'm
think
needy and I'm celosa. I'm like, just, I need a lot of attention and care because I like to think that I am so worth it. It's like,
no. We're the same. I'm absolutely a jealous guy. I'm a very jealous guy. I also take a lot of maintenance meds, so I guess I'm a high maintenance guy. No, but seriously, going back, and I remember you mentioning to me that are you deciding not to get married?
You know what? It's so crazy when you mentioned that. Hey, I never imagined you to be the marrying type. It just kind of like there's just this big aha moment. Like, wait, what? I mean, I don't have to be the marrying type because all my life I've been chasing after this, like
Really?
Oh yeah, because that's how
Well,
that's
it's
how I was
ironic because you make
raised.
you used to make wedding gowns. That's
Yes,
ironic.
and I'm so excited about weddings and everything. Like I'm always the wedding gown designer or the
Mm-hmm.
wedding singer or both or the bridesmaid or like I'm always the matchmaker. I have 14 marriages to my name. It will be
Wow.
going on parang 15
Wow.
nata. Because I'm a matchmaker because I'm a romantic. I love the
Okay,
work
so
that
let's talk
that.
about you like realizing that you might not be the marrying kind. I'm not gonna ask you your age. Feel free
Yes,
to
because
volunteer
I'm
that.
I'm anti-ageism,
Yeah,
so
I
I'm
am.
not
So am
gonna.
I. No, but
Yeah.
my approach to anti-ageism is to tell people my age, and they're often surprised by my age. But what I'm saying is, um, not being the marrying kind.
Oh God, maybe I'm not because I've been engaged 3 times now.
And so
So
I suppose all very sweet guys. I suppose the three of the sweetest guys you've known.
because I've always, I mean, even as a little girl, I was always
Mm-hmm.
programmed by my mom to
Mm-hmm.
because my parents is separated when I was 4, and
Okay.
so I was raised by a single mom, and she would always just tell me, you would better find the right guy, get
Mm.
married, find
But she
somebody to
did
take
expose
care
you
of
to.
you.
I mean, she took you to the U.S. And you were exposed. You strike me as a very international person, a very global person with a global perspective.
I
Like
am,
I know,
yes, I
like
am.
I never know where you are. Like literally, I never
Yes.
know where you're texting me from, so I don't know what time zone you're in. I wake up in the morning and I've got a bunch of messages from you.
Messages from me, and
Yeah,
then
I know. So like, but it's very also very Filipina. No, I have a friend who like told me like every Filipina secretly wants to get married, and I felt sort of okay. You can say that because you're a woman. I'm not gonna
yeah,
go
yeah,
into that, right?
yeah.
I wonder if I mean that's kind of a sad thing to say. You know,
It is because I was like,
I'm not a
maybe
sweet
Sarge,
guy. I'm not a sweet guy.
Sarge is right. Maybe Sarge is right because why? I've had so many opportunities
Mm.
to settle down, and I just kind of like when it's already there, it's kind of like, oh my God, it's gonna be the last person that I'm ever gonna. Like I start to get claustrophobic, and then I start to panic,
Really,
and
really. Like,
I'm like,
so
oh
you're the kind of
God.
person who's jealous, but at some point gets sick of your partner.
Gets
I just
annoyed.
wanna parang I just wanna like I think there's also the idea of having to live with a person.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah,
sort of
yeah.
deciding that you're gonna be with this person forever. I'm not even gonna say forever, but like until you literally are sick of that person. you know.
I think about that. Like, yeah, and maybe because my mom always kind of drilled that into my mind. Like, you have to
Uh-huh.
marry the right one, he has to
Uh-huh.
be this
Yeah.
and that and perfect and
Yeah.
whatever. And you know what? It's funny that I guess it's in the way that I was raised. I felt like I wasn't allowed to make mistakes. And so, therefore, picking a partner, my God, I cannot choose the wrong partner. Like, I can't. And
Mhm.
I remember just feeling as a child, like, just kind of seeing the impact of, my parents' separation, and
Sure.
and feeling a bit at the time, it wasn't the norm. Like
And
people
yet, and
were
yet you got
crazy.
engaged at 21.
Yeah, I know. But like, I can't help it. I'm a lovable person. Just
Are you alone now?
um, right now I'm visiting family right now, so I'm not
Okay.
alone right now, and I
Okay.
feel like so many people. What's
Yeah.
happening?
Cabin fever. A little bit of
Oh my
cabin
god,
fever.
yeah. And I can't wait to be, I can't wait to be alone again.
Are you
But
able? Are you able to create while you're alone? Are you able to?
oh yeah, so I just love it. And I have a short attention span, so I'm like hopping from one creative project to
Mhm.
another. And
Mhm.
like I was completely alone for like almost a year,
Mhm.
just kind of waiting out this whole pandemic thing. And then I was just like, maybe I need to see people, maybe like I had relatives who were getting sick. I'm like, maybe I need to see family now. And
Mhm.
so you get present to your mortality, and like
Mhm.
you also get present to the possibility that maybe the world is ending. So maybe
Well, I think
I should.
I'd like to think that talking about the pandemic and this is the reason why there's so many podcasts now, right? Because people are
Mm,
feel lonely or they're
yeah,
alone.
yeah.
I think a bit of the world is ending. A side of the world is ending.
I really think so. I think so.
Uh,
I mean,
I'm
I
brave
think
enough
so.
to see that I think people who think that we can go back to whatever there
No, no,
was
no,
are
no,
kind of kidding
no.
themselves or fooling
Like,
themselves.
no, no, no. It's never gonna be back. No,
And it's not a
never more.
matter of herd immunity or everybody becoming
Nah, no,
vaccinated.
no. It will never be the same.
And so either it's a great time to create something or it's a great time to think about how we've changed. No?
Yeah, yep. And
And
that's and that's why, like Sarge, like I'm like, do I want to die alone? I think about that. It's like I kind of don't want to die alone. I mean, I'd like to have a partner,
mhm.
and I've always
But I
I
also like to think that like it's easy for I mean, it's not difficult for you to find a partner or to be with a partner, right?
you know what? That's completely. Like I have a friend who's like, "Oh, you must have a whole line of suitors." I'm like, "No, there are none. Where are they?"
Well, and
It's like,
this is where I want to talk to you about how you're perceived. I know you have a huge following, but I also know you're kind of from left field. What I mean by that is that you've always had this sort of independent like spirit, right?
yeah,
You're a musician, you play your music, but you're definitely not in the mainstream.
yeah. I do. I never really felt like. I mean, when people ask me what kind of music do you
Mm.
play, it's I don't know how to. I don't even know how to categorize myself.
You're writing an entire one woman musical.
Oh, yeah,
What is it? What is that about?
It's
What is this?
so
Yeah.
many projects going. Well,
Uh-huh.
this is like a super slow burn project.
Hmm.
I went to Elements National Songwriting Camp
Sure.
in 2010. I
Yeah.
mean, Ryan Kayabyab is like
Ryan.
my music mentor,
Hmm.
and the first time he heard me play, he was like, "Oh my God, you should do a musical," and I'm like. Ryan Kayabyab's telling me I should do a musical. Maybe I should. And so, there was the seed of the idea then.
Hmm.
And then, I moved to the UK. And then, like my life just started to unfold in a most interesting way that I was like, you know, I'd like to tell the story of these particular years of my life.
Hmm.
Very interesting, like ending my fashion career and then
Hmm.
just trying to make it as a musician, and then
Hmm.
having big aspirations to, oh, I want to make it as a musician in London, and it's such an interesting time of my life. Oh my gosh, amazing. Like every night there's just something amazing going on every day, like and
Hmm.
the museums and just such a just an abundance of arts and culture, and I really loved it there, but it's just so fucking expensive. Like it's like, oh my god, like, how do I make ends meet? Like very, very challenging, but my god, almost 5 years
Hmm.
there actually.
So, where are you
And
headed now? And like, what do you see?
honest, what's really funny? I started taking I started studying script writing, film writing
Hmm.
with Ricky Lee.
Yep. You took the
Uh,
workshop. Hmm.
I took the workshop, and then I continued to study with him, and he's still my mentor.
Mm-hmm.
You show him my work, like the stuff that I've been developing.
Uh-huh. He's a
And
very
then,
generous mentor. Also, you just shared your film with me, and it's very raw. It's very touching. It's very raw and emotional.
thank
I'd like to
you.
say.
Oh my God, am I a filmmaker now? Because that's really the first short film I've ever made, and I showed it to you.
No,
Oh
absolutely.
my
Thank
gosh.
you, and thank you for
Oh.
showing me. Um, and this is a part of a creative journey of every artist, right?
Mhm.
Every raw talent, I should say, where they start out having a lot of talents under their. They have a lot of perceptive talents and a lot of practical talents. I'd like to say, for example, your ability to listen to music and play it on the piano is a practical talent. Uwido, no?
Mhm.
Um, where do you plan to take it?
You know what's? I was telling a friend about this the other day, and I thought, I always kind of I would get frustrated because I'm pretty hard on myself. I
What do you mean
I
by pretty hard? How hard are you
I
on
am
yourself? Yeah.
I really want to make excellent work, and
Uh-huh.
I also want to. I mean, now because I'm changing, and like this pandemic has changed me
Mm-hmm.
a lot. And well, before the pandemic, I had this opportunity to record my second album with a producer that I really really like
Mm-hmm.
in Berlin,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, oh, this is gonna be my break. I was still in the whole um, realm of I want to succeed to have a break in the music business, and
Mm-hmm.
I'd been
Sure.
trying, for a while, and it just
Sure.
hasn't really clicked. I mean, yeah, I have I think like a small following. I mean, the very
But
niche
I want to say
following, I
that
think.
it takes great courage, great honesty, and great integrity to say that, to
Oh,
admit that what you're admitting now.
oh, thank
No,
you.
and I want to say also that it's part of the artist's journey. So please do continue.
Yes,
So now that
and
yeah, go ahead.
so I wanted to have
Sure.
that break,
Mm-hmm.
and then the pandemic hit, and then taking my classes with Sir Ricky and Sir Ryan, and just kind of getting reacquainted
Mm-hmm.
with artists in the community, and of course, I also started this transcontinental initiative
Mm-hmm.
for artists called Pandemic Pop Up.
Yes.
And so the whole objective of that initiative is to just bring artists together, like
Mm-hmm.
have conversations, share each other's work, help, basically just uplift
I
each
think it's a
other
great
during this
initiative,
challenging time. Thank
and it
you.
acknowledges also the sort of importance of uh,
Community.
unity, and of course the importance of art during
Yes,
pandemic times.
exactly. Because it's I mean, that's how we are surviving,
I've always
like
mentioned that it's a great mental health time bomb.
it yes,
This
yes.
is really a very interesting and very sort of, for me, it's a teachable moment,
Mhm.
because a lot of people are so gung ho or so conscious about their productivity during
Mhm.
pandemic.
Yeah.
In
Yeah.
their mind, they've got to
Mm.
keep, BAU,
Yeah.
business as usual.
Yeah.
They've got to keep
Yeah.
their minds and their lives and
Yeah.
their ambitions and their
Mhm.
goals
Mhm.
are still there, because it's
Yeah.
the challenge of the pandemic is that it shakes you sort
Yeah.
of from that path. And what
Mhm.
you've just mentioned is that no, you just followed the path of the pandemic affecting you, affecting
Mhm.
your ambitions in a way,
Yeah.
affecting your
Yeah.
goals, making you realize that, you know what, I'm gonna
It's
pause
not.
a little bit.
It's not that important. I think what's more important for me is like the relationships I have with my creative friends and my
Mm-hmm.
loved ones,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm starting to enjoy creating again. Not without the pressure of, well, this has to be a hit or this has got
I
to
understand,
sell.
like the difference between creating and achieving,
Yes,
right?
yes, exactly,
Mm-hmm.
exactly. And I now, and I think it's just marvelous that I mean, I signed up for the Ricky Lee workshop on a whim, you
Mm-hmm.
know, just
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, I'll just apply, and it's like,
By the
oh,
way, Ricky Lee is one of those people that we have to mention, like first name, last name, right? You never
yes,
say just Ricky.
no, no,
Yeah, it's
Sir
like Ricky Lee.
Ricky Lee.
Yeah, I know.
But he's been very encouraging, and so like it's just like one thing just started to like I mean, yeah, one thing after another just started happening. And I love, if there's anything about me, it's like I just kind of, I guess I'm a winger, and my
Sure.
life unfolds very organically. I mean, I'm a Capricorn, but I'm not a planner, and
I
things.
like the way you said it. I like the way you said it. You're a winger. No,
I'm a winger,
no,
yeah.
you like to wing it. Just to explain, no? You
Yeah,
like
just
to
like,
wing it, right?
yeah, like, okay, let's go there. Like,
But I
okay,
like to
this.
think that people who are confident about winging it or who consider themselves winger know that they have something. No,
Maybe I'm just curious. I'm just
sure,
like, and I'm
sure,
just like a naturally inquisitive person. And
sure.
I'll be like,
And you,
I want to find out. Am I
Mhm,
gonna suck at this, or am I gonna be anyway? So I'm studying with Jose Javier Reyes,
mm,
and that's what I made the film for. Like
mhm. Oh,
this class,
really?
yeah, the film directing class.
Mhm.
And now I realize, I'm like, wait a minute, maybe this is why my music career didn't really take off, because I'm not just a musician. I'm so many things, and film is a perfect medium to kind of marry all of these
All of these
elements,
elements.
these bits and pieces of me, like, because I do fashion, and
Yes.
I design. I am an art director.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a writer, and I've always produced my own creative work, so I'm a
Mm-hmm.
producer as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then I never thought I could I never really aspired to be a film director. I knew that I would probably write scripts, or help produce films.
Mm-hmm.
But then this opportunity came and said, oh, try, just try this out, apply for this. And then you're like only 15 students selected for
Wow.
this special course. And I'm the only non-filmmaker, non-theater
Yeah,
person
and
there.
the way you say it, the way you frame it, you're the only non-filmmaker or the only non-film person there. It
Yeah.
really also illustrates the situation here, right? Where there are sort of very closed, not closed, but gated, shall we say, communities of different
Yes.
artists in different arts or
Yes.
even different genres.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
You know?
Yeah,
And that,
exactly.
and when somebody like you sort of puts your foot in different genres, steps
Mm-hmm.
into different areas.
Probably like, oh, what a dilettante this woman is. So what
Exactly.
she's trying, and
Let's
I'm
talk
just.
about that. Let's talk about that because and that's a well, it's funny because I find it a bit sexist, right? Because when
Mhm.
a woman does a lot of things, she's a dilettante. But when
Yes.
a guy does a lot of things, he's a renaissance man. No?
Wow.
And
We,
that's
we still live in a world that makes those distinctions.
yeah, I understand that, and and kudos to you, no, for saying first of all for saying you're a dilettante, therefore dignifying that term and raising it, elevating it to the level of being a Renaissance person, and also secondly for not feeling any pressure.
I don't, because I have zero expectations, but maybe
the
pressure,
only
like
the
when
one
I
way yeah, how do you stop yourself if people have zero expectations? I love it.
just
Yeah, yeah.
like zero. No, because it's like, I mean, like, maybe with my music, I'll be like, oh my God, I gotta do something good, because
Uh-huh.
people know I've been a musician all my life.
Sure.
But I have a beginner's mind
Did
this
you learn
new
this somewhere?
world.
This beginner's mind. I like this term, and I've heard this term a couple of times. But
Beginner's mind, maybe. Because I do transcendental meditation twice
mhm,
a day.
really,
I meditate with this. I studied the
mhm,
David Lynch Foundation,
mhm.
TM,
I
Transcendental
know. Yeah, I
Meditation,
know.
and
Yeah, yeah.
yes, and
I nap twice a day, so that's my like TM.
yeah,
Yeah.
great.
Thank you.
Yeah, yes.
Thank you so much.
Whatever works for you. Yeah, go for
Thank you
it.
so much. Yeah,
Um,
I'm
and
a Renaissance man at napping, like different kinds of nap.
I love
But
naps too. I
but
live for
seriously,
naps. So the guy who heads the foundation, Bob
uh
Roth, like we have like a little like a Zoom group.
sure.
So twice a day we meditate together, and before we meditate, for 20 minutes, we have like a little talk
Hmm.
about, it's just really, like geeky stuff like neuroscience and philosophy. And
Hmm.
it's so great. I love it so much. So Bob Roth uses the term beginner's mind to when he starts the meditation,
Hmm.
because some people think meditation is so hard. Like, I can't focus, I can't do it, because you have this pressure to get it right. But when you have the beginner's mind, there's no pressure. You're just, you have no expectations, and you relax. And so that's why I guess, like, yeah, that's my analogy for.
But I love it that you applied it to. You
Yeah.
have been applying it to your life. It's not
Yes, yes. And I'm not ashamed to be a beginner, because my God, that's the best place to be. It's the most exciting time in a creative journey, because you don't know what the fuck you're doing. It's like, what the hell am I doing? But it's fun. And it's like, you're not ashamed to to look stupid or foolish, because no, yeah, you're clearly a beginner. Like,
that is such a great lesson, and that is such a great thing to learn. I didn't expect, for example, that we would be mentioning that, and that we'd be talking about having a beginner's mind, and that I think that's a very fresh perspective,
it
especially
is.
during the pandemic. I mean, everybody's got to be. I mean, we're all beginners at this, right? We're
Nobody
all
knew
beginners
this would.
at being
Yeah.
ourselves here, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and
Yeah.
as an artist, I should say also as a dilettante. Your word, not mine. But no, but seriously, having a beginner's mind is something that affords you a kind of different point of view, but it
Yes.
also presents a lot of challenges when it comes to entering communities, or entering, for example, in music. Like, you walk into a gig or you walk into a lineup, people are gonna ask, like, where are you from? Like, are you completely in music? And you tell them that you're all over and you do a lot of different things. You know, it takes a lot of courage to have a beginner's mind, right?
I guess so. And shamelessness. Because people
I'd
like to
like to
look
think that
good.
courage is like another word for being shameless. You know?
Yeah. Well, I'm super shameless. I recently shared on social media that I got an invite to Herbie Hancock's house, and
Wow.
I
Wow.
played. I didn't just play the piano for him. I played with him. We played four hands, and
Jesus.
Malek was like, "You're so shameless." Like, I would be embarrassed
I
to
just
be.
want to know how you got an invite to Herbie Hancock's house.
Oh my
And
God.
I want to tell you that I'm like one of those like late Herbie Hancock fans, right?
That's okay.
Like,
I mean, me too. Me too. Because
I entered his world through Rocket. Can you imagine? And yeah, and not
yeah.
through his jazz, right? Which
Yeah,
is
yeah. But same here, same here, same here.
Mhm,
Exactly.
mhm.
And I mean, it's okay if you discover an artist like late in the game, you're late to
Sure.
the party. That's fine.
Mhm.
But it's so amazing to just get acquainted with the brilliant musicians
So how was
and
your four hands playing?
I was awful. My gosh, there's like a video of it. Oh my gosh, I'm just like, oh, because I'm not a.
Mhm,
I can play jazz, but I am not a jazz
mhm,
pianist,
mhm,
and so yeah, I'm just winger, because again,
mhm,
beginner's mind, and
mhm,
also I'm just like a little fangirl. I
mhm,
think before I am a musician or a designer,
mhm.
I'm a fangirl. I'm just a big fan
That is a lovely thing to say.
of no and it.
Who are you a fangirl of right now?
Well, they're kind of dead. These people.
That's fine because
Oh my gosh. You know what? I just watched scenes from a marriage, and it just blew my mind. Like, I was so upset, and I was like, "Wow, Ingmar Bergman, my
Bergman, yeah.
goodness,
Yeah.
wow,
Yeah.
oh my gosh!" And
Yeah.
the just the very very long takes, just like,
Mhm,
oh my god, it just
mhm,
blew my mind,
mhm,
just how he captured the
mhm,
complexity
mhm,
of the relationship of a husband and wife
mhm,
going through what they
mhm,
went through. I
mhm,
was gutted. I was like, oh, I want to
mhm,
make films like this.
mhm,
And yeah, I mean, wow,
mhm,
just phenomenal. And I just thought, I want to make my own films. That was
mhm,
the movie that made me want to make my own film.
mhm.
But I fell in love with Victor Erice, the Spanish
Yes,
filmmaker.
yes.
Oh my gosh!
Uh,
Yeah.
Elise is Spirit of the Beehive.
And so I realized the this amazing power of cinema.
Mhm,
It's just so powerful to just kind of move you and like make you just stop and think after watching the film, like, oh my god, what have I been doing with my life, or how is my relationship with my father, with my former lover, how's my, and that, I mean, yeah, I'm definitely a late bloomer in many ways, and I am a late bloomer in cinema, and I feel like, oh my god, there's so many films I want to watch, there's so many, and I'm so hungry to learn. So my friends joke that I'm a workshop addict, because I'm trying to attend every damn workshop and master class that I can, because I feel like I want to catch up.
But what's beautiful about filmmaking is that filmmakers never feel the pressure to make films. I mean, there are filmmakers who started very old. So, and I want to say this because, and this is connected to what you said about the beginner's mind. Because you just talked about being being a late bloomer or being a late entrant into the film, into cinema. And there's always something to be discovered when it comes to being an artist. And I think this is a point where we start asking ourselves, am I too late in the game? Am I too old here? Having a beginner's mind and reminding yourself that there's no such thing as coming in too late,
No,
being a late bloomer.
no.
And I think it's beautiful what you said about the pandemic teaching you a sort of patience and sort of reminding you to sort of step back and look at what's
Yeah.
happening.
Yeah, and I mean, Mirza Sison, our common friend,
Sure.
she at the beginning, the first 3 months of the pandemic, because I was also trying to cope with having to stay put, stay in one place, and just like, oh my god, what am I gonna do? So I was going crazy. I was like studying Spanish and then doing the workshop and then studying how to cook, and then like I was just cramming my schedule with like like I need to enrich myself, because at that time I was like, maybe in 6 months this will be over, and then 6 months later, like, no, this is not going to be over soon. And now I'm kind of finally in a good place, like mentally and emotionally, and be like, you know what, I'm just gonna enjoy myself, and I'm not gonna pack my schedule the way that I did, like, for the first year, in which I was so crazy. I was doing like almost like an Instagram live a day on the pop-up, and now I'm like, you know what, I'm just gonna be gentler with myself, and I'm gonna allow myself to rest. I'm gonna allow myself to just take my time in working on my projects and enjoy the process, and not be such a crazy Capricorn about it. Like, oh my gosh, relax, girl. And so now I'm enjoying a more leisurely pace, at living and still being productive. I'm like, I'm like, okay, now I actually have time to watch a film a day, because I am not cramming my schedule with too many things. And my non-negotiables though are my meditation. I have to do meditation twice a day, and exercise. So I do bar and Pilates. I mean, just at home with my little yoga mat.
It's weird that this podcast is going to end with this point of you teaching people how to enjoy their life. Having a beginner's mind, not sort of pushing yourself to do everything at the same time, and sort of accepting yourself.
Yeah.
I think it's a great moment, in our lives to accept ourselves. Not only are we accepting, it's tough enough to accept the world outside us,
Yeah.
and all the different injustices, all the different
Yes.
absurdities that are imposed upon us.
A lot of terrible
That's tough. And very few people see the way out is sometimes through ourselves.
Yeah.
You mentioned it yourself that accepting yourself was one of your realizations.
It took a fucking pandemic for me.
It took a fucking pandemic. And I think it's taking a fucking pandemic to make humankind accept itself.
That's right. That is right.
And I want to thank you for that.
Oh.
And I remember having a conversation on Facebook about somebody saying, artists and creatives are often seen as people who have no practical sort of application in the world. But then I realized that also when you think about art, when you have a mind that's sort of oriented toward art, such as yours, or toward creativity, it's a mind that always seeks solutions. You know, it's a
Yes.
mind that always seeks resolutions as well.
It's a constant troubleshoot being an, and you know what? It's funny. I don't even call myself an artist because of that whole like, oh
Sure.
my God, I have to go to art school to be an artist.
Yeah, sure.
And yeah, I do music and I do film and I'm like, you're an artist. No, 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 but I do. And you know what? Now I'm gonna own it. I am an artist. I am an artist. So in your
Yes,
podcast,
you are absolutely an artist, and
I am publicly declaring that I am an artist. Yeah, it's this crazy moment in the world wherein like I've just we've all been forced to just pause and look at ourselves honestly and just be like, hey, what are you gonna do with the rest of your life? And this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. I want to be an artist, and I am one. So
Thank you so much for your declaration, Katie, because it really gives a lot of hope to people out there who are artists and who have a lot of trepidation about declaring themselves artists. Also, it gives people who are not so inclined toward the arts to realize that having a beginner's mind is so important, and having to take a pause and taking advantage of the pandemic to take a pause and to look at their own selves and to stop having an itinerant soul or an itinerant sort of ego,
yes.
sort of go back into themselves. And I want to thank you for that. I didn't expect this to happen, but it's happened.
Well, expect the unexpected when you're talking to me. Just go off tangent so many times, and here we are. In a roundabout way, we got here, and it's been such a pleasure talking to you, Sarge. My gosh, it's like felt like don't want to stop talking.
We shouldn't stop talking, okay?
The Lonely Hearts podcast is brought to you by Esquire Philippines in partnership with Podcast Network Asia. For more info on their shows in the network, visit podcastnetwork.asia. Also powered by Podmetrics, the only analytics you'll ever need for your podcast. Sign up now for free at podmetrics.co.
The views and opinions expressed by the podcast creators, hosts, and guests do not necessarily reflect the official policy and position of Podcast Network Asia. Any content provided by the people on the podcast are of their own opinion and are not intended to malign any religion, ethnic group, club, organization, company, individual, or anyone or anything.